Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Saturday, the 6th of August. With Robert Murray McShane, one of the chapters we read today is Jeremiah chapter 34. And there's a specific judgment on the people, because in this chapter we're told that the king made a covenant with them and that they agreed to free all the Hebrew slaves. We're told they agreed and set them free. But afterwards they changed their minds and took back the slaves they had freed and enslaved them again. And therefore Jeremiah comes with a specific condemnation from God. And God says to the people, I gave this command to the people of Israel and said that every 7 years you're to free your Hebrew slaves, but the people never did. So quite clearly, some of the more idealistic commands that God gives to the people never happened. The people fell away too quickly, and it didn't work for them because it's costly. And here God speaks a condemnation on the people. And he says, recently you repented and did what was right in my sight. Each of you proclaimed freedom to your own people. You even made a covenant before me in the house that bears my name. But now you have turned around and profaned my name. Each of you has taken back the male and female slaves you had set free to go where they wished. You have forced them to become your slaves again. And therefore God says, I'm going to give you freedom to be overrun by the Babylonians, freedom to be slaughtered, freedom to go into exile as part of the judgment. And as I was reading that, I was thinking, why did the people make this agreement and then change their minds? It must have been economic. Simply, slavery is an economic reality. And if they'd freed all their workforce, they suddenly realized, I need people to do this work. The easiest thing is enslave them again. Don't have to pay them. And we need to remember that following in God's ways is always costly. And God is a God of social justice. He does speak about what you pay your laborers. He does speak about not taking a coat in a pledge and saying if a person's poor, leave them with their coat because they need it to sleep. God looks after the widows and the orphans. They are on his mind. And as Christians, we need to recognize that. And we need to make sure that we are being just in what we do, that we are paying people well, that we are paying people on time, that we are not defrauding or cheating or shortchanging anyone. That shouldn't be part of our lives as Christians. But more than that, following God's also costly in that forgiving people take something from you, not bearing a grudge. Shame has an emotional cost for us. And God says, pay that cost. Because ultimately, once you've done that, and you're free of it, and you're walking in his ways, you are experience a profound freedom in him. And as you experience that freedom, you realize the richness of the blessings that he gives when we walk in his ways. So be encouraged to, in a sense, pay the cost. And let's not be like the people in Israel that turned away and didn't do what God told them to. Let us do what God tells us, knowing that that is the best way to live. And as we do that, we are blessed.